Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Flow and Restore yoga class. And we are continuing talking about the 5 elements of nature according to yoga and its sister science, Ayurveda. So we are down to number 4, which is the element of air. And you might think of the element of air, or let's get out of the mind for a moment and just come to a comfortable seat. You may like to close your eyes. And then just start to pay attention to sounds around you, where you are. Feel into the sounds that are really far away, like the subtlest sounds that you can hear, maybe even vibrations. And then feel into the sounds and movements that are a bit closer. You might even feel something vibrating underneath the ground. And then start to zoom in to your own physical body, like a camera zooming in to focus. And start to pay more attention to movement within your body. One thing might be breath. Can you even feel your breath moving anywhere? And then notice any other kind of movement you might feel. Perhaps you feel your pulse without even placing your hands on your heart. Maybe you feel a little tingling or pulsing sensation somewhere, or not. You're just tuning into what's there. Maybe you feel something in your digestion. So air, often called the wind element, drives movement in all of its forms. Most of the qualities of the wind element can be felt in the cold wind of autumn and winter seasonally, when we talk about air element around us. But wind element carries the qualities of cold, dry, rough, irregular, mobile or unstable, subtle, and light. And this is according to an Ayurvedic source, Bunyan Botanicals. Movements that happen in the body, from peristalsis in the intestines to the movement of thoughts and sensations, are produced by the air or wind element. So when you're balanced in wind or air element, you might feel effortless stamina, enthusiasm for life naturally. You feel motivated and creative because the subtlety of air element conveys inspiration. Healthy wind element within you also results in great capacity for abstraction and connection to unseen things. So focus comes naturally. Also with healthy air element, all of the movements and cycles in the body occur with a regular rhythm and timeliness. There are neither excess movements in the intestines nor trembling sensations or spasms in the muscles, and sleep comes easily and is undisturbed through the night. And life's difficulties are handled without anxiety or excess stress. Now, of course, these are generalizations, but notice what you tend to feel more or less of. And we can be fluctuating in having a lot of wind element, like gas in the body, bloating, or feeling deficient in wind element, right? Like stagnancy. So today's practice physically is going to get us moving and really explore those different directions of movement as we play with air around us and within us. Now, in yoga texts, it talks about 5 different movements of wind physically and emotionally within us. And they are called vayus. There's an upward moving. So if you want to just go ahead and take your hands down, like you're scooping up air and then you're lifting it up through your body. And it's upward and outward moving. So you can think of your voice, like when you're singing, or even your thoughts, they're upward and outward moving. They're heavy in the head. Exhaling, take a deep breath in, and then make any sound. So it comes in and then it releases out. And even things like vomiting. Now, prana vayu is a subtle life force energy movement around the heart and in the lungs. Maybe place your hands at the center of your chest right now and just in silence, notice if you feel any kind of movement there. So very subtle but powerful. And then the third is Samana Vayu, and it's the air energy governing digestion in the center of the body. So often after I've eaten quite a bit and I feel really full, I'll do this clockwise massage, just get that Samana Vayu moving. And then there's Vijnana Vayu. So everybody bring your hands into yourself, like giving yourself a real tight hug. And then as you take a deep inhale, just bring that in further. And as you exhale, just splay your arms, whatever you can splay out. So that's the energy of Vijnana Vayu. It's the wind moving outward in all directions. So we'll play with the idea of expansion in our flow today. And then lastly, there's Apana Vayu, and that governs a downward and outward energy. So let's take the hands above the head, palms face down, take a deep breath in, and then think of a French press. As you exhale, slowly pressing the palms down and then releasing. So you can imagine the energy moving down through the base of the spine, through the legs, and out into the ground. So we create all these different kinds of directions movement externally, but they also happen internally. So let's feel into that. And then today's 10-minute guided meditation will bring us into the 5 elements and just drawing the different gifts that they have. So let's begin. Hands together at the heart, maybe taking a moment to dedicate your practice towards anything that you're cultivating in your life or for someone or something that you care about. So bringing that activity of Udana Vayu as we chant 3 ohms, using that chanting also to lengthen the breath, really expanding the lungs. Take a deep breath in. And let's ease into deep, balanced inhales and exhales with the mouth closed if you can, softly narrowing the back of your throat so that you can create a very gentle whispering sound to help you track that you are balancing both effort with ease in your breath and movement. So sustaining the inhale, sustaining the exhale, using Ujjayi Pranayama or victorious breathing. And as you continue to listen to your breath, let's come down to hands and knees, all fours, and placing your knees a couple inches behind your hips, placing your wrists directly under your shoulders, spread your fingers wide and flat, entering cat-cow movement. On an inhale, draw your chest through your upper arms, coiling it up. Look up as you drop the shoulders back. On an exhale, contract your belly, looking down, tuck the tailbone as you round your back. Now keep going several more times at your pace of breath here. So listening to the entire length of each in as you move the heart forward and out as you drop the belly in. Loosening up the shoulders and the spine. As your feet are separated hips distance apart, tuck your toes, and on your next exhalation as you round, lift your hips as high as you can, coming into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And then allow yourself a few breaths to just explore any kind of movement you want, like pedaling your feet in place, warming up the backs of your legs. Maybe with that, swiveling your hips left and right, lengthening the sides of your torso. stretching your outer hips, and perhaps even nodding and shaking your head as you loosen up your neck. If you lose that even sound of your breath, feel free to slow down your body in your own way or even become still, like coming down to rest in child's pose. So tracking your own effort and ease, balance. Start to walk the feet forward. Come to stand at the top of your mat in a forward fold, separating your feet, hips distance and parallel. As you bend your knees, reach your hands behind your lower back so that you can either grab a strap, hold it between your hands so you're able to lift the arms a good distance away from the lower back, or clasp your hands if that allows it to. Shift your weight towards the front of your heels, spreading your toes. And as you breathe in, firm in your belly and lift your chest forward to elongate your crown towards the front wall. And as you exhale, lifting the arms away from your lower back, completely drop your skull. Feel free to bend the knees even more if that helps. And let's take a few breaths here, just lifting the shoulder bones away from your neck, maybe even softly moving your head around. Exploring different directions of taking up space. Press your fingertips either on your shins or on the floor ahead. And on an inhale, draw your heart through the gates of your arms. As you exhale, bow forward. Firming down through your feet, inhale, circle your arms around the space surrounding your body. Watch your palms meet up towards the sun, salutation. And then as you exhale, trace your midline with your thumbs, landing your arms by your sides, palms face forward, mountain pose. Feel your feet pressing into the earth as you inhale, sweep your arms again overhead, look up. Maybe a gentle back bend where you lift the chest some more. And then here, open your arms, palms face down. Exhale like a swan dive, fold forward. Press your shins to the ground. Inhale, lift your heart through your upper arms. Exhale, step back into plank, top of a push-up. Now knees could be on the floor or legs could be straight. Lift the navel, draw your chest through your arms, and look forward on the floor. Take another breath. As you exhale, lower your knees, lower your chin. As you look forward, hug the elbows to your ribs. Belly firms in, glide your chest, belly, and pelvis all the way to the ground. Now here, bending your elbows apart, sort of like the shape of a goalpost or a cactus. Keep every toenail pressing the ground so much that your knees are not resting on the floor. They're lifted. And as your feet stay on the earth, elbows bent apart, 90 degrees. Inhale, coil your chest off the floor and look on the ground ahead. So it's like an armless cobra, or rather a locust pose, Shalabhasana. Let's take another deep breath, and can you slide the shoulder blades further down your back and open up your collarbones? On an exhale, press your hands and knees to the ground. Lift your hips high, coming into downward facing dog. And come back to the sound of your breath here. We're setting the route for a breath-led movement or Vinyasa Flow. Now lifting from the inseam of your leg. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. And as you exhale, bending the right knee towards your nose, draw that energy towards your center, towards your belly, chin towards the belly too. Step the right foot lightly forward into a high lunge. So your feet are hips width apart, front knees right over the heel, you're on the ball of the back foot. Energize your legs. Imagine you're dragging them towards each other. Don't actually drag them. As you press the feet down, inhale, circle, sweep your arms forward and up. So here's that Udana Vayu, that upward and outward. And then as you exhale, palms face down like a French press in front of your torso. Begin to spin the left heel down. Align the right heel to the arch of your left foot. Entering Warrior Two, still French pressing the palms down in front of your pelvis. Now as you inhale, turn out both legs, straighten both legs, and open your arms so you look like a star. Take a deep inhale here, expanding in all directions, that Vijnana Vayu. Now we'll do the opposite. As you exhale, contract, bend your knees, bend your elbows, parallel your feet, draw everything towards your center. And as you inhale, cartwheel your hands to the floor, step into plank. As you exhale, lower either knees, chin, or glide through chaturanga, bending the elbows by your side ribs. Cactus, bend the elbows again. This time you can lift your feet. Inhale into locust pose with goalpost arms. Press your hands into the floor, tuck your toes. Exhale, lift or plank, and then hips back, downward facing dog. Just check in with your breathing. Does it feel balanced? Does it sound balanced? Now lifting from the inseam of the leg. Inhale, raise your left leg back. Contracting in, exhale, round into plank, knee towards nose. Step the foot lightly through to a high lunge. And just feel that your feet are set up, hips distance, you're on the ball of the back foot, front knees right over the heel, and it feels as if you're energetically dragging the feet toward each other to create stability. Then inhale, sweep the arms forward and up overhead. Feel that Uddana Vayu, that upward and outward moving wind. And then French press the palms, Apana Vayu, as you spin the right heel down and align the left heel to the arch of the right foot. Chest turns to face the right wall in Warrior Two. And then open the arms and legs wide into a star as you breathe in, that Vayana Vayu, just taking up as much space as you can. And then parallel the feet, bend the knees, exhale, contract towards your center, sort of the opposite. Inhale, cartwheel your arms to the floor, entering plank pose. Choose the way that you want to come down as you exhale. Belly to the floor, cactus, bend the elbows, lift everything on an inhale so you're opening up in all directions here. Exhale, plant the hands, lift the hips, downward facing dog. So now that we finished both sides, let's take about 5 slow breaths here. So we'll use the breath as our barometer, noticing how we are balancing effort and ease in the quality of the breath. But we'll also use it as our metronome. So as we direct the breath evenly, we'll guide the pace of our movements. So let your breath be more of your guide than my voice. My voice merely reminders if you need them. Let's wrap this up, and then we'll start into a continuous flow. Bend your knees, look in front of your hands. Empty your breath and lift your pelvic floor while you walk or hop to the top of your mat. Inhale, press your shins to the ground. Look forward, lengthen. Exhale, fold in. Press to your feet. Inhale, sweep your arms, rise, palms touch overhead. Exhale, trace your palms down your center line, mountain pose. So that finishes the sequence. Now let's turn it into one breath, each movement. Arms by your sides. Inhale, circle the space around you, maybe a gentle back bend. Exhale, open the arms, swan dive into a forward fold. Inhale, lift the heart through the gates of your arms. Exhale, step to plank or float into chaturanga, but come all the way down. Inhale, lift everything. If you want, you can open the arms instead of a cactus shape. Exhale, press up, lift the hips, downward facing. Inhale, sweep your right leg back. Exhale, contract, step it through, high lunge. Inhale, sweep the arms forward and up. Exhale, French press the palms as you turn the feet into Warrior Two. Inhale, open the arms and legs wide into a star. Exhale, contract, bend, draw it in towards center. Inhale, cartwheel the arms, step into plank. Exhale, lower your own way, all the way down. Inhale, lift everything, take up space. Exhale, press off the floor, lift your hips back. Take one cycle of breath in and out. There's your pace. Inhale, sweep the left leg back. Exhale, contract, step it through to a high lunge. Inhale, sweep the arms forward and up. Exhale, French press the palms as you turn your feet into Warrior Two. Inhale, open in all directions like a star. Exhale, bend the knees, contract towards your center. Inhale, cartwheel the hands into plank pose. Exhale, lower in your own way. Inhale, take up space as you lift the heart, everything you can. Exhale, press the ground, downward facing dog. This time, 3 to 5 slow breaths. Listen in. Fine-tuning and knowing when to cool off if needed. We talked about the elements of fire, water, and earth the days before, so you have that knowledge of how to balance those elements. Here we go. Bend your knees, look past your hands. Empty your breath on empty, walk or float. Inhale, press your heart through the gates of your arms. Exhale, hinge forward. Rooting down, inhale, sweep your arms and rise up. Maybe a gentle back bend. Exhale, tracing your midline back to mountain pose. So we've done it once. Let's try it one more time. A meditative flow, focusing on your breath. Inhale, circle your arms, look up, perhaps coil the chest. Open the arms. Exhale, swan dive into a forward fold. Inhale, press your heart through the gates of your arms. Step or float into chaturanga. Take your own route coming down. Inhale, locust pose, flying your limbs, your heart, everything you can. Press the ground away. Exhale, downward facing dog. Your pace of breath. Inhale, sweep right leg back. Exhale, round towards center. Step it through to a high lunge. Inhale, raise your arms forward and up. Exhale, French press the palms. Turn the legs into warrior two to the left. Inhale, straighten and expand like a star. Exhale, bend and contract, draw it in. Inhale, cartwheel the arms, plank pose. Your own way, exhale to lower. Inhale, lift the heart, get long. Exhale, press the ground, lift the hips. Downward dog. One cycle of breath. Last side, inhale, sweep the left leg back. Exhale, bring it to center, step it through, high lunge. Inhale, sweep the arms forward and up. Exhale, French press the palms, turn right into warrior two. Inhale, open the arms and legs, expand like a star. Exhale, bend the knees, draw it in to contract. Inhale, cartwheel the arms, plank pose. Exhale, take it down on your own. Inhale, expand and lift. Exhale, hips back, downward facing, or moment in child's pose, 3 to 5 breaths where you choose. Rebalancing this flow of energy of inhale and exhale. Life force energy riding through the waves of your breath, as well as where you place your attention. And as you're ready, from Adho Mukha Svanasana, bend your knees, look ahead of where you want to land your feet on empty breath, walk or float. Feet come together, and this time, step them back another foot or so behind the front edge of your mat. And then lifting your heels, bend your knees, come into chair pose with your heels lifted. Splay your thighs apart, plant your hands on the floor, maybe a foot ahead of your toes. Wrap your triceps towards the rear wall like downward dog, shoulders away from the neck. And then take a deep breath, look forward on the ground, maybe 3 feet ahead. As you exhale, hollow your belly, round your back like cat pose, and then maybe start to straighten the arms, Then bend the elbows back like an elevator with your upper arms, pressing your knees behind your upper arms. And now you can keep your feet on the floor and just see if you can rock a little weight forward towards your fingertips, less weight on the heels of your palms, and then rock your weight back. Maybe try that a few times. Maybe if your arms aren't slippery with lotion, like mine today, you start to lift your feet off the floor and they come together into crow, into Bakasana. Some of you, in Bakasana, might gently float your legs back into Chaturanga and take a vinyasa with Cobra or upward facing dog. Or you might step back to hands and knees and take a few rounds of cat-cow. And let's all meet on hands and knees here. We'll take one round of your choice of either dolphin pose, forearms on the floor, either interlacing your fingers like a triangular base, elbows exactly under your shoulders, or Shirshasana if you practice headstand with your fingers interlaced. So the very crown of your head comes to the floor. No headstand if you have neck injuries. So as you extend the arms forward, wrap your triceps towards the ground. You want to feel that protraction or broadening of the shoulder blades across the upper back. Then deep press the shoulder blades, press them down, away from the neck, and then place your elbows exactly shoulders width apart on the floor. Interlacing your fingers. If you're going to dolphin, you bear no weight on your head, and then you tuck your toes, lift the hips, maybe walk the feet forward. If you're going into headstand, bring the very crown of your head to the floor, so the back of your skull is lightly supported by the inner webbing of your palms. Then as you contract your belly, you can lift one leg, not kicking it up, but slowly lifting with control. Flexing your feet together if they're both up. Maybe one leg is up and then you alternate. So give yourself 5 to 10 more breaths in your active inversion of choice. And then we'll all meet again in child's pose when you're ready to. So be mindful of how you're opening up space in your neck, in your throat, in your shoulders. So we've got the Apana Vayu, that downward force, that downward wind pressing down and grounding to create that Udana Vayu, the upward moving wind, lifting, creating lightness, expansion above. Taking your time when you feel ready, bring your knees and forehead to the floor in your version of child's pose. You might like to rest your ear, one ear down, so that you can gently stretch your neck on one side for a few breaths. And then switch to the opposite ear for a few breaths. And then as you start to rise, come on into hands and knees, and we're going to prepare for single pigeon pose, opening our hips. Now, some of you might prefer the supine version, also called thread the needle or figure 4 shape with the legs. If so, you're crossing the right ankle over the left thigh, and you're bringing the left thigh towards your body, towards your torso, flexing the right foot. Those of you that are taking the upright version from hands and knees, turn out your right thigh and cross your right shin in front of your pelvis onto your mat. Then as you straighten your left leg behind you, tuck the toes for a moment of your left foot. Place your hands alongside your hips so that you're able to lift your pelvis off the floor and tack your right hip back, bring your left outer hip forward. And then keeping the hips evenly facing forward, you can decide whether or not it'd be useful to put a prop under your right glute, like a folded blanket. If you are crossing the right shin parallel to the front edge of your mat, make sure that you're flexing your right foot to stabilize your knee. And then relax your left toes Take a deep breath and lift your chest, stretch the front of your torso. From here, you could stay upright. You could backstroke the left arm and catch hold of the inner left ankle or foot. Maybe raise the right arm into a heart opening, back bend, opening the shoulders. You could bow forward, maybe making a little tower of pillows with your blocks to rest your forehead on. Or you could take the other thread the needle, a spinal twist, in which the right elbow flares towards the sky and you slip the left arm, palm face up, through underneath the right elbow. So you're resting the left side of your head all the way down, whether on the ground or on a prop. So whatever version of this hip opener you've chosen, you're going to be here for another 10 deep breaths. That's right, 10. As yin and restorative postures are generally meant to be held for longer periods of time. So make sure that you're comfortable to be in it for that long. You're supporting your body with any props it might need. And then pay attention to your breathing again. And how that breath is taking up space in your body. Where in your body? Now, where does your body perhaps ask you right now that needs some more space? Where might it feel congested? Now, with your focus, with your mental awareness, you might visualize directing the breath in into that area of congestion, if so. We know our thoughts are powerful. They can lead us into certain actions, but they can also create internal movement, like inspiration. Notice if you might tend to take longer exhales or longer inhales. And you can just bring your attention back to balancing in and out. And when you finish about 10 breaths, if you're on your back, please stay on your back and simply uncross the legs and circle out your thighs together and apart a few times, a neutralizing movement. Otherwise, please press back onto your hands and knees or into downward facing dog if you choose, where you could lift your right leg of the hip that you were stretching and you can move it out at the hip socket. You can shake it out, just encouraging some flow of blood into the area, lubricating that hip joint through motion. Let's take a couple of lion's breaths while you're here. Inhale deeply. Make any sound as you open your eyes and mouth wide and stick out your tongue. Ha! One more time. Inhale. Let it feel releasing and cooling. Tongue out. Let it go. Ah! And then let's set up for side 2 in the same variation of the pose that you were in. So if you're in the upright version, cross the left shin in front of your pelvis, straighten the right leg behind you, and tuck your right toes as we set up. With hands alongside your hips, lift your pelvis off the floor and scissor your left hip back. Bring the right outer hip forward. Now see if you might need or want a prop under your left glute here to keep that balance in your hips. If your left shin is parallel to the front edge of your mat, make sure you're flexing your left foot to stabilize your knee. Untuck your right toes. And if you did so on the first side, here you might backstroke the right arm, catching the inner right ankle or foot, coming into a back bend. Or you might fold forward, perhaps resting on blocks. Or spiral into the other thread, the needle. Left elbow flaring up. Right arm threading underneath it. Right side of your head landing all the way down. Feel free to use a prop here. And so whatever variation, though the degree or the intensity of it may differ from side one, just giving it the same opportunity on this side to let you know. And then back into the breath. Notice what sensations are becoming known to you here. And you might even notice sensations shifting or moving with an element of air or wind. Pulsing sensation, radiating sensation. Downward moving, spiraling, upward moving. Just fine-tuning your ability to observe winds within your body. We're probably about halfway through those 10 breaths now. In case you weren't here for the first few classes and we talked about why we're even exploring these 5 elements, according to Ayurveda, the complementary sister science of yoga, these 5 elements interplay and affect our well-being physically, mentally, and emotionally. Not only through the seasons and in the environment and how it changes outside of our bodies, but also how it affects us, like when there's more sunlight, how that affects our mood, but even what we put into our body or what happens within our minds, how these elements come to play. And so as we're more aware of that, we can find balance. Let's finish one more cycle of breath here. And then taking your time, please make your way into your neutralizing movement. If you're on your back, maybe circling the legs, staying on your back. If you're coming into downward dog or hands and knees, lifting the left leg, perhaps moving it around at the hip. Let's take a couple more of those cooling and releasing lion's breaths. Imagine you could breathe in to your whole body, from your feet to your crown. Inhale deeply. Stick out your tongue, make any sound. Ah! Get as loud as you need. One more. Inhale. Ah! And then from here, we're going to set up into a heart opening, restorative pose. So grab your 2 blocks, and if you don't have 2 blocks, you can also use a pillow or roll up a blanket. I'll start with a pillow. What you can do is place that pillow to trace the midline of your mat towards the rear. Keep your pelvis on the floor and lean back onto the pillow. Open your arms, so we're accentuating openness in the front of the chest, front of the shoulders. You could also take the pillow and cross your mat, and so it feels like you're lying off the edge of a bed, hanging the head on the floor. So see what works mostly for you to open up your chest and increase your breath capacity. Now, if you have 2 blocks, 1 block tallest height at the rearmost edge, 1 block medium height crossing the mat. Pelvis stays on the floor, and as you lie back, the area right under your shoulder blades is where you land onto the first block. And then the back of your skull is where you land onto the second block. And then you can feel this out. If you're not feeling that much opening in the chest, try tilting the block under your head one step lower. So now you might have an equal sign out of your blocks. And if still you want to get a little juicier in the shoulders, go another step lower. So take a moment to experiment with what's working for you right now. And then adjust so that the left and right sides of your shoulders feel balanced and your neck feels spacious. You may like to make those goalpost arms here, bending the elbows apart and landing the backs of your hands on the floor. And with your legs, you could splay them out, sort of like Shavasana. You could bend the knees apart and gently open the hips in Baddha Konasana. It's bringing the soles of the feet together. Or you could step the feet on the ground, bend the knees, and drop the knees together, which opens up the sacrum. So choose, make any final little adjustments because we're going to be here for about 3 minutes. This is a restorative pose, and I'm actually going to set the timer for that. For some of us who are high in wind or air element, we might be movers and shakers and very active-minded, active, busy bodies. I can sometimes be that way. I have a mixture of the air element. And so lying still like this in a restorative pose can be challenging. So just notice if you might have any kind of reactions to not moving right now. Mental reactions or and then it's not a means to judge anything good or bad. Just notice whatever you notice. And then take a deep breath. Open your mouth and let it go. As you take longer exhales now, you might even use counting, like inhaling for 5 counts, exhaling for 7 counts. But each longer exhalation invite relaxation into stillness, softening in to being supported, to feeling supported. Notice if the thoughts begin to move away from the here and now, and just come back to the breath. I read a quote by Nelson Mandela yesterday, and I can't quote it verbatim, but it was something like this. It's not about how many times you fall, but it's about the feeling of rising each time after. Coming back to the breath, coming back to the present, coming back to the practice. And finish this breath here. And as you bend your knees, stepping your feet on the ground, we'll just slowly begin to turn over to one side. Be very gentle in your transition so that you can slowly come on up to sit. And then we'll move those blocks aside, those pillows aside, and then lie flat onto your back. Once you are lying on your back, Draw your bent knees into your chest. Slide your pelvis about 3 or 4 more inches towards the right edge of your mat. Lift your feet off the ground with the knees bent together, and then slide your right arm open wide out to the right. We're going to prepare for a supine twist. Press the right shoulder into the ground and begin to let your knees both fall over to the left side. Now, if the right shoulder starts to come off the ground, that's an indicator that you're going too far into the twist to feel grounded. If so, then grab a pillow or a folded blanket, place it on the outside of your left thigh to catch it, and then just the amount that can stay on the floor. Your head towards your right shoulder. Relax here for a few breaths. If you feel congestion in your sacrum, in your lower back, place your palm on your right out and just gently nudge. Good. So it gently shifts away from your torso and towards the front edge of your mat. You might also picture breathing into your sacrum. And then again, lengthen the out breaths more than the in breaths. Regulating your nervous system to a deeper state of calm. Let's finish one more deep breath here on this side. And then again, transition very gently, very slowly, like you're handling a newborn here. As you come back to center, placing your feet on the ground. Slide your pelvis closer to the left edge of your mat. And then pick up your feet, knees bent together, open your left arm wide on the floor. Keep your left shoulder on the ground as you slowly drop both knees to your right. And if you notice that your left shoulder starts to lift away from the floor, again, grab that pillow or that blanket, place it underneath the outside of your right thigh to catch you so that you stay grounded in this twist. You might like to turn your head towards your left shoulder to stretch your neck. If your lower back here needs some space, you can plant your right palm on your left outer hip and just gently nudge your left outer hip away from your torso and towards the front edge of your mat. And then perhaps you're still counting, inhaling for 5, exhaling for 7. Let's finish this cycle of breath that you're on. Before slowly coming back to center, putting the props aside. Sliding your left leg straight ahead on the ground, bend your right knee into your chest, catching hold of your right shin or your right thigh. Bring your right thigh more to the right side of your rib cage. And imagine breathing into the right side of your abdomen. As you exhale, gently press your right leg towards the right side of your abdomen. So this is actually called wind relieving pose. If you've got an excess of wind you need to release, here's one to help you out. Or in Sanskrit, it's Apanasana. A couple more breaths of just compressing the right lower abdomen as you exhale. Then set your right leg forward on the ground, switch sides, bending the left knee in. Slide the thigh over to the outside of your left ribs. Breathe into the left side of your abdomen. And as you exhale, gently press into that with your left leg. A few more breaths. And when you finish this exhalation, bend both knees into your chest. And here's a little lower back massage, but also a lower belly compression, where you just bring the knees in as you exhale, and then gently rock it away from your torso as you inhale. In as you exhale, knees away as you inhale. And it doesn't have to be large movements, just gentle stimulation of the abdomen, as well as massaging your sacrum on the ground. Lastly, splay your bent knees apart, catching hold of your outer shins or outer feet in happy baby pose. You might like to rock side to side here, but at the same time, try to root down your tailbone and shoulders, relaxing your head, promoting length throughout your spine. Now into your whole belly, take a deep breath. Let your belly expand like a balloon. Slowly through your lips, empty your breath, a hissing sound, and let your belly soften in towards your spine. Try that for a couple more breaths. Really great for digestion. Abdominal breathing also relaxes the nervous system. And then draw everything in towards your center. Give yourself a huge, tight, loving embrace, maybe even lifting head and shoulders. So feel this drawing energy all inward. Contract, round, take a deep breath, hold it in, maybe try to sip in a little more air. And then when you're ready, open the mouth, exhale, and let your limbs splay onto the floor. And I invite you to notice here the amount of splaying you might tend to veer towards. Notice how far apart your feet are, how wide your arms are from your torso. Just observing how you might tend to take up space or not take up space. And then can you let your bones be heavy? You allow your jaw to soften. The soles of your feet completely relax. Feel your palms unravel any tension. Feeling safety, feeling grounded, feeling open. Shavasana for a few minutes. Air represents freedom, as in the birds that fly. Air represents openness and freshness, as in the airing of a room. Air represents lightness, simplicity, and softness. When we fall in love, we feel like we're walking on air. Air implies spaciousness, which is achieved through letting go from wisdom, from wheels of life. I invite you to begin to lovingly, gently move your body in its own way, however it wants to begin to awaken from stillness. You might like to keep your eyes closed so you're still tuning inward. Gradually, as you feel ready, gently turn over to your right side. Taking your time to press into the ground and rise. Offer your body a comfortable seat. For those of you staying for 10 minutes of guided meditation on the 5 elements. So position your body physically so that it feels open, alert, and relaxed. Empty the shoulders, lift the spine, ground the pelvis, and then rest your hands any way that helps you to focus. I like to stack the palms and let the thumbs touch. Maybe you take Dhyana Mudra, thumb and index, fingers together. And see what works for you, whether closing your eyes or steadying a soft gaze on one spot, maybe not at the screen, something in your environment. And so in this 10-minute meditation, we'll spend about 2 minutes centering on each of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air or wind, and space or ether, according to yoga and Ayurveda. So let's begin by connecting to the qualities of earth elements. Feel the surface beneath your body, stabilizing and supporting your body from the bottom up. Notice the points of contact with the surface below. Pay attention to the rootedness of your pelvis, the base of your spine, which allows all that's above it to feel aligned and supported. I invite you to spend just another minute or so centering on that feeling of being supported. Perhaps placing your mind's eye on the area in your body where you tend to feel confidence or a sense of stability. And now let's feel the qualities of the water elements. I invite you to bring your attention to anywhere in your body you can detect the element of water, liquid. Maybe there's some sweat. Maybe you can feel your saliva in your mouth, or fluids in your belly, or water in the eyes. And then consider the qualities of water: the ability to flow the ability to adapt to any shape in which it's placed or poured into, the ability to change form according to circumstance, the ability to renew, to cleanse, to purify. Choose one of those qualities that resonates most with you right now. And can you feel that quality within you? And if that's not readily available, you can visualize a symbol of that quality, maybe water, the ocean itself, and just dwell on that quality for just another minute. Next, the element of fire, the ability to transform, to move towards positive change, to metabolize, digest, and transmute, as well as release what no longer is nourishing. Fire moves us towards our goals, our visions, aligning with our core values, what we're passionate about. What are you passionate about? In this stage in your life, what are you inspired to create? Let yourself feel ignited at your heart fire. And next, we move into the air element. Qualities of movement, of interaction, connection. Noticing your breath again without having to change the way it's moving. I invite you to land your attention where in your body you can feel most movement of your breath. With nothing to have to think about, just simply feel that movement. It's coming and going. As you feel a sense of safety in the constant movement and change that is your breath, remember that life is that constant coming and going of situations, of circumstance. And you bring that feeling of safety, that feeling of trust in any part of your life that's in movement right now. Lastly is the element of ether or space, that which contains it all, but is so vast beyond measure. Feel the space within your body, from the bottom of your feet, within your bones, in between your bones, all the way up to your head. All these various systems at work within the space of your body. And start to zoom out your perspective a bit. Feel the space surrounding your body, in the room that you're in, and how you are connected to that space and all that's in it. Begin to zoom your perspective even wider, the space of the internet through which we're all connecting now. From wherever anyone here is from, notice how we're able to connect through that vast space. And continue to zoom out even more. Even more to whatever hemisphere of the globe you're residing right now. Feel that open space that you are connected to. You're affected by the seasons changing within that hemisphere. Zoom out even more into outer space. Feeling your connection to the universe, constellations, the sun, the moon, and how our little human bodies are affected by those. We are connected. And with that, I invite you to join your palms together at your heart center, closing with a sound that reminds us of our interconnection. The sound of Om. Take a deep breath. Thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste.